In this next clip, a young boy is in the middle of getting ready for school when something deeply unsettling unfolds. It was a Monday morning, somewhere around 7 a.m, when this all went down. He had been packing his lunch while the rest of the household was still asleep. Nobody else was up. It was just him, by himself, in the kitchen downstairs. This is where his mother says she heard him let out an absolutely blood-curdling scream, the kind that stops your heart cold. The camera picks all of this up, but there's something additional caught in the footage that the entire family is at a complete loss to explain. See for yourself. A voice rings out with startling clarity. The boy insists it came from somewhere in the kitchen, yet nobody else had been downstairs at any point during this time. The room was completely unoccupied except for him, and yet it appears he may not have been as alone as he thought. What makes this whole situation even more disturbing is the account the mother gave about what followed once her son came sprinting up the stairs and burst into her bedroom.
That he heard a voice coming from the cabinets that said to him, "How did you find me?" When he dropped his noodles, he ran upstairs, came busting in my room, telling me to get mine because somebody was in the house. We started hearing footsteps.
She describes hearing the sound of footsteps climbing the staircase just seconds after her son ran in. Every member of the family was already inside that room, so she had absolutely no explanation for who or what could have been out there on those stairs. Maybe someone had gotten in, or maybe, as plenty of people believe, something far beyond rational explanation had come calling that morning. Whatever the truth turns out to be, that raw, terrified scream from the boy is without a doubt the most chilling element of this entire ordeal. Two friends were having a relaxed lunch together at a packed restaurant one afternoon. Nothing about the scene seemed out of the ordinary as they chatted over their food. Then, without any warning, something completely unexpected unfolded right before their eyes. See for yourself. A plate started moving across the table with nobody anywhere near it. Both women caught the motion immediately, their eyes locking onto the plate in stunned disbelief. They looked visibly baffled at first, desperately trying to make sense of what they were witnessing. The plate kept shifting for several more seconds, which only made the whole thing feel more unsettling. Fortunately, a security camera overhead captured every moment of the incident. Some viewers are convinced there's a perfectly rational explanation, like vibrations or a slick table surface, while plenty of others are certain something far stranger was at work. This collection of footage was uploaded over the course of several years by a TikTok creator who goes by Salsa_Ann. What sets this apart from most paranormal content is what's missing. No ghost hunters, no dares, no one trying to stir anything up. The majority of these moments are caught entirely by chance through home security cameras installed for completely mundane purposes. The earliest clip dates back to 2020. A camera mounted in a bedroom records her daughter lying asleep. The room is quiet, undisturbed, nobody else present. And then briefly, the blanket draped over the child shifts. It's not a dramatic pull, not forceful enough to rouse her from sleep, just a subtle tug that causes it to move on its own before settling back into place. Several days later, another recording surfaces. This time, her older daughter is sleeping while her younger one sits close by, quietly entertaining herself with a phone. The camera is still rolling when the blanket starts moving again, pulled repeatedly, right there in plain sight of the younger child. She shows no sign of alarm, no look of confusion crossing her face. Toward the end of the footage, she gives a small nod, the kind you'd give if someone had just said something to you, despite the fact that the room is otherwise empty. A follow-up clip, taken from the same session, shows the behavior carrying on. The younger daughter appears to be engaged in conversation with something invisible. The blanket continues shifting with no discernible cause, and no explanation is offered. Just a little girl acting as though whatever's there is nothing new to her. Time moves on after that. Then, in 2021, fresh footage emerges, this time pulled from a living room security camera. The room sits completely vacant. Then, easing out from the hallway, a dark, shadow-like shape briefly peers into the space. It doesn't step forward. It never fully reveals itself. It simply extends just far enough to register on camera before retreating back into the dark. Another year passes. By 2022, the activity appears to have migrated to a different part of the house. Attention turns to the bathroom, where she begins hearing strange, unexplained sounds on a regular basis, and makes repeated attempts to document them. Eventually, she gets what she's been waiting for.
There's nobody here. My doggy. Okay. Okay. Come on, ghost, if there's a ghost in this house. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! Okay. Oh my god, I told you. Okay. I'm not crazy.
A few days on, the noises make their return.
Okay, I've been hearing noises. It's okay, stay. Shh, sit down. You scared? Yeah. Sometimes when you hear noises, sometimes things get thrown off the counter. I just want to make sure that see nothing because this is really creepy. I'm so over it. Come on, John, hurry up and get home. Can you stop, please? Sometimes things get thrown off the counter. Sometimes the water gets turned on. It's really creepy. Who's it, Lucy? Who is it? Probably gonna go live as soon as John gets home so that I'm not scared while I'm recording. I don't want to touch it. It's just the cat box.
A Reddit user going by the handle Uppers Downers uploaded this clip roughly 3 years back, noting that the incident left him genuinely frightened of his own pet. The culprit? Something his home security camera recorded deep in the night. The footage shows a cat sprinting at full speed toward a house on the other side of the street. Nothing looks out of the ordinary at first. When the animal passes by a parked vehicle, its size looks completely typical. But then, as it continues toward the building, something shifts. The creature seems to grow in stature as it moves, eventually reaching what looks like almost the full height of a window on the house across the way. Even more disturbing, a similar silhouette appears to rise up into the branches overhead, not leaping, but almost scaling its way upward. The person who posted the video insisted the animal was his cat, Gus, though a large portion of the audience wasn't buying it, struggling to wrap their heads around how a domestic cat could visibly expand in size mid-stride. Some commenters floated the idea of a shapeshifter, suggesting the creature may have simply borrowed the form of a cat. Others weren't convinced by that either, chalking it up to lens distortion or a trick of perspective. To this day, no definitive answer has been established. Was it just an optical illusion born from camera angles and movement? Or did that security feed capture something far stranger? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let us know what you believe is going on here. But while the store manager was by himself late at night, sorting through the contents of a delivery box, something absolutely terrifying caught him off guard. Not knowing what to make of it, he rushed straight to the security camera system to review the footage, and what he found made his blood run cold. He grabbed his phone on the spot to record what the cameras had picked up, and that's when things took an even more disturbing turn, leaving him visibly shaken.
Things away from the box. All right, now watch. I want you guys to focus on this area right here, okay? Hold on, let me speed this up a bit. All right, watch.
If you have the doctrine right and you stow it on a shelf in your closet and do not pull that doctrine out.
Boom, you see that?
What good does that
I'm gonna get back here for you guys to give you a better view. Look at that. And I'm just like tripping, like what just happened? At first I didn't know what the hell it was, but went to see that there's a box on the ground. I'm like, okay, it's weird. And Now I'm going to look, to see what's going on. It fell, okay, but pay attention to this area right here. Watch.
But so what? Are you deaf? That's not what I asked you.
Is that you? Look, I'm here by myself. Nobody's here. It's just me. See that? Come out. I'm not afraid of you. Is that you that threw down the box earlier? Come on out. You don't scare me. Come on out, pussy. Always trying to mess with me. Oh! Oh, shit. No. Hell no. Hell. Let me see. Where am I? I'm here. Where am I? Look, there I am, right there. Look, you see that? You see that? Nah. No.
The fact that his hair moved on its own, despite there being nobody else around, was what really got under his skin. After reviewing the undeniable evidence from his store's CCTV, he's now firmly convinced that something supernatural has taken up residence in his shop. But I'll leave the final verdict to you. This next clip originated on Reddit before making its way onto TikTok, where it quickly started picking up serious traction. A real estate agent was filming herself inside one of the properties on her listings one evening. It's pretty standard practice for her. Clients ask to view homes, and she puts together video walkthroughs so they can get a feel for the interior. On this particular day, she's recording a short intro outside while waiting for some buyers to show up.
Join me on a tour of this charming 3-bed, 2.5-bath house on a quiet suburban street. Every day, you'll feel like you're coming home to your own little oasis.
Once she steps inside, she notices a door toward the back moving on its own, and the whole atmosphere of the place just feels deeply off, so she dashes back out to grab her camera. She also mentioned that when the clients arrived for the in-person showing, doors throughout the house kept swinging open by themselves. But that's not even the most unsettling part. A separate group of clients wanted a late-night visit to the very same property, curious about how the interior looked under nighttime lighting. Since it's literally her job to make the sale, she had no real choice but to oblige, so she heads back over after dark and starts filming another introduction. What she had no idea about was that something truly frightening was waiting for her inside. See for yourself what unfolded next.
Wow, it's 10 p.m. and my day was fully booked with showings of this beautiful vintage 1962. Wow, it's 10 p.m. and my day was fully booked with showings of this vintage 1963 bungalow. Go ahead, do it again. You're on camera. Open this door. Go ahead, open this door. Open this door like you did the other one. Come on, just move a glass or something. Go ahead, do it again. I'm not scared.
The moment the alarm unit just falls off the wall and hits the floor, the realtor decides it's not worth sticking around, and she makes a beeline for the exit. But when viewers started rewinding and looking more carefully, they noticed something deeply unsettling. During her second intro attempt, one of the framed pictures hanging on the wall visibly darkens, almost as though it's shifting into something else entirely, or as if an unseen presence moved past it and pushed the door open, because moments later, the picture returns completely to normal. Safe to say, This house has thoroughly gotten under her skin, and whether she can even keep trying to sell it is a real question, especially once buyers start using the haunting as leverage to knock down the price. Next clip comes from the TikTok account shown on your screen right now. It's run by a woman named Jacqueline, a California resident whose content typically has nothing to do with the supernatural. But ever since she and her family settled into their new home, strange things have been unfolding around them. On one particular day, Jacqueline was upstairs taking a shower while her young daughter was downstairs on her own. Without warning, the little girl came bolting upstairs in a complete panic. Wanting to understand what had frightened her, Jacqueline pulled up the footage from her security camera. Here's exactly what it recorded.
But now at the casino, she's playing to avenge Paul's death. She lures Victor into a trap, letting him gain his confidence, win a few hands, just to see what his tendencies are. But then she goes for the throat.
Within 4 hours, Sally has cleaned Victor out, winning the entire $100,000 pot.
Frequently in a poker game like this, because the stakes are so high and emotions are so high, often these disputes are carried away from the poker table. You would become so angry that you would act out violently.
Instead of just leaving the game.
The little girl had been sitting quietly at the table when an object suddenly slid across the floor in her direction, almost as though something was trying to get her attention. Shortly after, as she made her way over to the couch, something appeared to grab hold of her arm, and a shopping bag resting on the sofa fell to the ground on its own. Jacqueline later posted photos of her daughter's arm, which showed visible marks consistent with something gripping it. Her followers were seriously alarmed, and Jacqueline went on to explain that she brought in a small group of people to perform a cleansing ritual on the property. According to her, the activity has died down considerably since then. So what's your take on what was happening in that house? Pure coincidence, or something far more sinister? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Maybe Sir Edmund got home to Ms. Keller's place when he couldn't help but notice something his backyard security camera had picked up. With half of the figure obscured by the emotional pull of whatever lurked beyond the fence, he initially assumed it was probably just a stray animal, but he decided to check it out anyway, and what he found waiting for him sent a cold wave of dread straight through him. As he began describing the footage, the shadow seemed to deepen across the yard. The figure's body was an eerie, pale white, nearly disappearing against the backyard fence, with nothing but its teeth catching the light as it crept through the grass. The moment he realized something, or someone, was right outside his home, pure fear took over. What makes it even more disturbing is the soft sound of footsteps pressing into the frost-covered grass that you can actually hear in the clip. This thing is genuinely terrifying. And honestly, even if there turns out to be some rational explanation, even if it's just a person wandering around out there, something about it still makes your skin crawl. Woman named Kitty claims that ever since she filmed her cat behaving oddly near her doll collection, she's been plagued by unexplained knocking sounds and shadowy figures appearing in her peripheral vision. Her home security system caught her cat intently fixating on the dolls as a dark, shapeless mass seemed to pour out from within one of them. Whatever this entity is, it seems to have its source deep inside the doll itself. The following evening, Kitty noticed the doll's head had shifted position on its own, and she actually managed to capture the moment it moved, with no one anywhere near it. Shortly after settling into their new house, unsettling things started happening one after another. One of her dogs suddenly fell ill and died with no clear explanation, and the strange activity only continued to escalate. Then one night, a loud banging erupted from the kitchen, and when she went to check on it, what she found made her blood run cold.
Okay guys, I'm in the upstairs bathroom. It's 20 after 1 in the morning. I grabbed my phone because I can hear my kitchen cabinets banging. I'm the only one up. I'm afraid to check it. I'm the only one up. Okay. What the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? Okay. Breathe, Kathy, breathe. This happens all the time in this house. You think I'd be used to it by now? Who's there? Who's there? Guys, the remote that operates our surround sound and TV is right there on the table. Leave me alone!
Something in that kitchen is unmistakably trying to get her attention. But what's your take on all of this? Could a restless spirit be responsible? Are the dolls harboring some kind of malevolent presence? And was her dog's death some kind of warning from the other side? Whatever the answer may be, one thing can't be denied. Something sinister has made itself at home within these walls. During late night hours at a hospital located in Tabasco, a user going by the name Samuel Lopez Chico reported that he and a number of his co-workers had repeatedly encountered strange sounds throughout the building, from eerie echoes drifting down empty corridors to unexplained activity in areas that should have been completely vacant. Over time, these incidents became too frequent and too unsettling to brush aside. So Samuel made the decision to start recording what was going on. At roughly 3:30 in the morning, he began picking up unusual sounds coming from the sample collection room within the clinic.
Hago este video porque estaba escuchando ruidos aquí atrás. Son las 3:25 de la mañana. No veo nada. Miren. Acaban de ver eso.
The second he walked out of the staff room, a container resting on the sink abruptly toppled over and hit the floor with a crash, despite no one being anywhere close to it. But things didn't stop there. A cart positioned near the hallway then started rolling by itself before veering sharply to one side, as though something had given it a firm shove. Samuel quickly moved in to take a closer look, yet he found no one in the area and nothing that could account for what he had just witnessed. Then, just as he turned to head back, another sound suddenly rang out from behind him.
Miren cómo se mueve eso. Para que vean que no hay nadie aquí.
Spinning around, he watched as the cart began moving once again, despite the hallway being entirely deserted. No matter how thoroughly he searched, Samuel could never find a reasonable explanation for what was disturbing his night shifts inside that hospital. Just when things appeared to have settled down, roughly a month later, Samuel uploaded a second piece of security footage from inside the facility, and what showed up in this recording was far more unsettling than anything before. While going through the footage, a dark, shadowy figure could be seen briefly materializing in the hallway before disappearing just as suddenly. That fleeting image was enough to convince many viewers that the strange events Samuel had experienced weeks earlier were far from coincidental. A number of people became convinced that the camera had inadvertently recorded evidence of some kind of unknown presence haunting the old hospital. Others, however, remained skeptical, suggesting the figure could be nothing more than a visual artifact, a trick of the light, or a human shadow distorted by the poor resolution of nighttime surveillance footage. So what do you think is really going on here? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Our next clip comes from a woman in Mexico who claims her household has been plagued by severe poltergeist activity. Determined to document what's been happening, she positioned a stationary camera in her kitchen, the room where most of the disturbances seem to occur. What that camera recorded is nothing short of chilling. Judge for yourself what you're about to see. A refrigerator at the far end of the room is suddenly and violently obliterated by some invisible force. It's almost impossible to wrap your head around what could do something like that. Nobody is anywhere near it, but did you catch what appeared just before? A dark silhouette shoots across the frame to the right beside the fridge, and within seconds the appliance is rattled and crushed where it stands. Could that shadowy shape be behind the destruction? And if so, does that mean malevolent spirits are genuinely capable of affecting the physical world around us? That's exactly what our following clip, a woman named Lacey, based in the United States, got an unexpected and unsettling video from her sister late one evening. Her sister had just recorded the clip herself. It showed her and her daughter, Lacey's niece, proudly showing off some new lights they'd had put in around their backyard pool. Lacey explains that her niece had been eager to go for a nighttime swim, but kept holding back, too nervous to get into the pool once it got dark. At first, everyone just figured she had a fear of the dark, but now Lacey can't shake the feeling that her niece may have had a very real reason to be uneasy out there, because when Lacey watched the footage, she spotted something that genuinely disturbed her.
He's out here so I can change the colors. You might be able to do it on the Oh, but look how cool on that above.
Lacey's sister insists that nobody else was present in the backyard when this was filmed, just her and the little girl. And yet, something, or someone, can clearly be seen passing right in front of Lacey's niece. What makes it even stranger is that neither the child nor her mother appears to react to it at all, as if they were completely unaware. Lacey caught it right away. The figure moves fast and has an almost translucent quality to it. Shaken by what she'd seen, Lacey immediately reached out to her sister and described the figure she'd spotted. Her sister had no answer for it. Since the clip started circulating, plenty of viewers have landed on the same conclusion, that what was accidentally recorded that night was a ghost. So what do you think? Is that what this is, or do you have a different theory? There's a saying that the most frightening footage isn't the kind featuring monsters or shadowy figures, but the kind that catches a real person's genuine reaction to something they simply cannot explain. In this clip, the raw terror radiating from the individual on screen is impossible to ignore, and that's precisely what makes it so unsettling. Once you've seen this, you'll find yourself asking, what on earth could drive someone to that level of panic? Poltergeist activity is known for being erratic and aggressive, and while it's been studied and reported extensively, it's rarely documented with this kind of chilling detail. Nobody knows for certain what the truth is behind this footage, but one thing is hard to shake. It serves as a reminder that whatever lurks in the unknown might not be as far away as we'd like to believe. A young man decided to take a vacation at a remote old hotel tucked away near a forest, well outside the city. While casually recording his room, his camera picked up something he never expected.
Hotel of Lucknow. Lucknow.
There, in the mirror's reflection, a woman with a ghostly, horrifying face suddenly materialized. Yet the moment he swung the camera around to capture the full room, she had vanished completely, leaving no sign she had ever been there. Perhaps she could only exist within the mirror itself. The young man had no idea at the time, but when he reviewed the footage later, pure terror set in. He maintains that there was absolutely no one else in that room with him. So what's your take on this? Working in a graveyard is already enough to make most people uncomfortable, but for one man whose job involves restoring weathered old graves, a routine shift turned into what he calls one of the most frightening moments he's ever experienced. As he tells it, everything unfolded while he was carrying out repairs on an aging mausoleum. At some point during the job, he started picking up strange noises that seemed to be originating from one of the nearby crypts. Initially, he tried to brush them off, but they kept coming, and the more he listened, the more disturbing they became.
¿Qué mierda es eso? ¿Se escuchan ustedes? Ay. No, la puta que lo reparió. ¿De dónde sale ese río?
Haunting, wailing sounds can be heard reverberating through the cemetery grounds. What makes the footage particularly hard to shake is just how muffled those noises are, as though something confined within a sealed space is desperately trying to draw someone near. Unsettled but unable to walk away, the man sets out to track down exactly where the sounds are coming from.
Estoy solo. Hoy estoy cagado las patas. Está cerrado eso.
After several minutes of searching, he scales part of the mausoleum structure to get a higher vantage point over the area. Even so, a thorough scan of his surroundings turns up nothing that could reasonably account for what he's hearing. Once the footage made its way online, theories started pouring in from every direction. Some viewers are convinced the cries point to some kind of spiritual presence, an entity somehow bound to that burial ground, while others lean toward a more grounded explanation, like an animal concealed somewhere within the stonework, or possibly someone pulling an elaborate prank. But if the answer really is that straightforward, why do the sounds appear to be emanating from deep within the tomb itself? So what's your take? Is there a perfectly logical reason for what was captured here? Or is this something that simply defies explanation? It's an ordinary Friday afternoon in Opelousas, Louisiana, when a man named Dante Saunier pulls into a gas station to fill up his tank. That's when something completely out of the ordinary catches his eye. An empty, parked school bus sitting across the street.
You about to go walk up to this bus? Look at that. Look at them children playing.
Look at it.
Let's see. Let's investigate. An empty bus. An empty bus.
What appears to be the shadowy silhouettes of children can be seen moving through the interior of the bus, despite the fact that the vehicle is unoccupied and sitting completely still. Dante says he actually approached the bus on foot and even circled it in his truck, yet found absolutely nobody and nothing that could account for the eerie figures he was seeing. Shaken by the whole ordeal, he uploaded the footage to Facebook, where it exploded in popularity, racking up more than 2 million views. To this day, nobody has been able to offer a satisfying explanation for what those shadows actually were. It was April 13th, 2021, and every recording device he owned was already rolling. His mission for the evening was straightforward: track down the enigmatic figure known as the man in the green cloak. But as he passed through a small village along the way, things took an unexpected detour. An elderly resident agreed to talk, though only away from the cameras, out of sight of any lens. The old man claimed to know something about the cloaked stranger. He said the figure never spoke, and while he didn't appear outwardly threatening, something about his presence left people deeply disturbed. Every so often, this silent wanderer would show up near an abandoned house that had stood empty for close to 2 years. The very same house the YouTuber was gearing up to explore.
Пока я переносил сюда все вещи. По словам этого местного жителя, здесь не живут уже как 2 года. В этом сарае, как он мне... О, с мешка. В этом сарае, как мне сказали, был забой для скота. А куда делся гроб?
But the old man wasn't finished with his warnings. He also mentioned another house, one sitting close to a well, not far from where the YouTuber had pitched his tent. According to stories passed around the village, something wicked haunted that spot. A young girl had reportedly drowned in the well years before, and shortly after her death, every member of her family perished as well. The locals believed that once the clock passed midnight, the girl's ghost would pull itself up from the well and make its way back to her former home. And trailing behind her, they said, darker forces would emerge from those same depths, following her inside and unleashing chaos within the cursed walls. That night, he made up his mind to stay in the house and see if the legend held any truth.
И дожидаться 12 ночи. Уже 21:01. Попробовал все же. Электричество, да, здесь реально нету. Расставил камеры. Одну камеру здесь. Это с ночным режимом. Одну GoPro в этом углу. Фокус пропал. Так. Одну с ночным режимом здесь. GoPro там. Так, все, друзья, буду дожидаться 12 часов. Сейчас 23:50. Осталось...
By 11:50 p.m., his nerves were already fraying. The house was unnervingly quiet, though not in any way that felt calm. The silence had a weight to it, like it was bearing down on the room itself. Every creak, every groan, every faint settling of the old structure rang out sharper than it had any right to. Midnight was closing in fast, and with just 10 minutes to go, dread began seeping through him. Then the clock finally ticked over to midnight on April 13th.
58 минут. Пока все тихо. 59 минут. Опа. «13 апреля, 12:00. Пока полная тишина. Все камеры я еще не включал, все. Вот сейчас что-то стукнуло. Это на улице.
For a moment, nothing stirred, just an oppressive stillness. Then a faint creaking drifted in from somewhere outside in the dark. His whole body locked up. His first thought was that the cloaked figure might be lurking nearby. Then the shed door began to swing open, slowly, inch by inch. His pulse hammered as the old villager's words flooded back to him. Mirrors can trap paranormal energy. Not willing to let anything go undocumented, he activated every camera he had, determined to catch whatever was out there on footage.
Здесь это не тот мужик. Фонарик. Кто там? Охренеть.
Then, at the very edge of his field of view, something appeared to glide past the windows. He couldn't be sure if his fear was warping his perception, but in that instant, it felt absolutely real. Without warning, the front door flew open with a thunderous crash, and the entire energy of the room shifted, like a surge of something supernatural had torn straight through it. At the same moment, a sharp pain shot through the hand he was using to film, making this feel less like a haunting and more like something actively responding to his presence.
Обычно все паранормальная энергетика возле зеркала, либо в зеркале. Боковым зрением увидел вроде реально сейчас двинулась книга. Или это мне показалось?
For the following half hour, the house fell into a disturbing quiet once more, broken only by the occasional dull thud reverberating from somewhere deep within the walls. He killed the lights and flipped his cameras to night vision, straining to see further into the darkness. Then, at 4:03 a.m., the knocking began. It started at the windows, then migrated to the doors, slow, measured, and impossible to dismiss. It was as though something outside was circling the building, deliberately choosing where to knock next.
Будто бы руку током ударил. Охренеть. Вот, друзья, на время я на улице лучше. Что-то мне здесь реально не по себе. Полчаса, как уже полная тишина. Пока что ничего не происходит. Пару раз только вот здесь грох и в дверь.
Then, just as abruptly as it had started, it all went silent. No more knocking, no more movement, no more sounds buried in the walls. As the first grey light of dawn seeped in, the house sat perfectly motionless, as though it were trying to convince him nothing had ever happened. But after everything he'd lived through that night, there was no chance he was chalking it up to an old structure settling.
Думаю, что сюда еще раз нужно будет вернуться, но уже с ИГФ. Вот тот колодец. На свой инстаграм я всегда загружаю фото с новых видео, поэтому, друзья, подписывайтесь на мой инстаграм, ссылка будет в описании.
He knew a return visit was inevitable, but not on his own. The next time, he intended to arrive with proper paranormal investigation gear and push the exploration much further. As for the well sitting just outside, that was a whole separate matter. After absorbing the legend, enduring the knocking, watching that door explode open, and witnessing whatever had drifted past those windows in the dead of night, one question refused to leave him alone. Was the cloaked man truly the heart of this mystery, or was something far more ancient hauling itself out of that well once the clock struck 12? Deep in the mountains lies a remote retreat known as Mazamitla, where rustic wooden cabins sit nestled among the pines, the kind of place that feels like paradise until darkness falls. One night, at around 4 in the morning, a man resting inside one of those cabins was suddenly startled awake by heavy pounding coming from just outside his door. He stayed still, listening. Then something across the room activated without anyone touching it. Nobody was near it. There was no remote involved. It simply switched itself on in the dead of night. But that's just where the story starts. The very next evening, something out in the trees began to shriek. Not a wild animal, but something that sounded like a woman, loud enough to carry through the entire valley. The locals will tell you that a woman passed away alone in a nearby cabin some years back, under circumstances that were never fully understood, and many of them believe she never truly left. They say she's still out there among those trees, still watching, and they claim she's even been captured on film. Right there, just beyond that trunk, a pale face staring out, vanishing, then appearing again, watching. And this is no isolated event. It keeps repeating itself at Mazamitla. The pounding, the wailing, the figure among the trees. Visitors return again and again with new recordings, and whatever lurks out in those woods keeps. TikTok creator named Leon Rito posted a deeply unsettling video that unfolded right inside his own house. At around 3 in the morning, he started picking up voices coming from the warehouse area and out front in the yard. He made the decision to go check it out, phone camera rolling the entire time. As he moved through the space, trying to track down where the sounds were coming from, he ran into something deeply disturbing that left him shaken to his core. What he came face to face with next was nothing short of terrifying.
Son 3 de la mañana, estoy escuchando ruidos de... Ahí están, esos son los ruidos que se escuchan en el patio. Voy a salir a ver, son 3 y 10 de la mañana. Benjamin, te quedas aquí. Estoy escuchando ruidos desde el galpón, como voces. Voy a ver. ruidos acá. Ahí dejaron de hablar. Hace días que vengo escuchando ruidos acá. Ya no sé cómo... Se cayó de acá. Un poquito. Ya igual, a esta altura, miedo ya no tengo. Mucho eso. Esos hijos de puta. El coche yo no lo dejo ahí aparte. Siempre aparece el coche en cualquier lado. Yo no sé qué. Hijo de puta. Benji, vení acá. Vení, Benji, acá. Se me desvanecen las piernas ya. Ya no sé cómo vivir. Vení conmigo. No te vayas, vení. Quédate acá. Quédate acá. Deja de ladrar, quédate acá. ¿Dónde estás? Mira, vení acá, Benjamín. Vení acá. Andate, hijo de puta.
In the recording, while he's moving through the space, trying to pinpoint the source of the noise, something shifts unexpectedly among the items in one of the rooms, stopping him dead in his tracks. He pushes on, redirecting his search toward another part of the house. As he draws closer to a door, he freezes, because on the other side of the glass, something is staring back at him. Looking more carefully, you can make out a long-haired figure with a truly horrifying face, seemingly locked onto his every move. Then, just like that, it's gone, vanished completely, leaving no trace behind. On the Ghost subreddit, a user going by the name Proof Seekers uploaded footage capturing some seriously disturbing activity occurring inside a bedroom, and in broad daylight of all times. The clip was recorded by a stationary camera pointed directly at the room. Nothing appears out of the ordinary at first glance. It looks like any other peaceful, unremarkable bedroom, but that sense of calm doesn't last long. Out of nowhere, a strange voice, whispery, but with an unsettling depth to it, can be heard uttering the word hello from somewhere close by. It's a fleeting moment, but it gets under your skin immediately. The original post offers very little in the way of background information, though somehow that absence of context only amplifies the dread. The voice comes through clearly enough to make it unmistakable, yet there's absolutely nothing on screen to suggest where it's originating from. That's the part that really gets to people. The comment section lit up fast. Some viewers described the voice as pure nightmare fuel, while others floated the idea that it might have drifted in from a TV or video game running in another part of the house. But nothing visible in the footage points to any reasonable explanation. So where does that leave us? Was this just some random, coincidental sound caught at exactly the wrong moment? Or is there something far darker going on? Either way, that voice is absolutely not something you'd want echoing through your home when you're there by yourself. In the following clip you're about to watch, a roadside security camera captures a motorcycle traveling down a semi-rural stretch of road at dusk, headlight on, normal speed. Nothing about the scene suggesting anything is wrong. And then a collision. Both men go down hard on the asphalt and stay there, completely motionless. But then something gets up and walks away. Watch. There for a moment, and then simply gone, while both men remain on the ground where they fell. In paranormal research, this falls into one of the rarest and most debated categories of footage: the possible capture of a soul departing the body in the immediate aftermath of death, consciousness leaving in the only way it knows how. Still moving, still going somewhere, completely unaware that the body it belonged to is no longer getting up. The figure doesn't linger, doesn't look back, doesn't seem to register what just happened. It just walks, the way someone walks when they think they're still alive and still have somewhere to be. That detail is the one that's hardest to sit with, because it suggests that whatever left that body in those first moments had no idea it was leaving for good. So what do you think? Did that camera capture the last independent movement of someone who didn't know they had just taken their final ride? Or is there another explanation for what walked away from that crash? In this next clip, a woman lost her mom a week before this was recorded, and on this particular night, her elderly Labrador is sitting beside her, and the dog won't stop staring at the corner of the room. Watch. The dog holds its gaze there for nearly the entire clip, head raised, alert, mouth opening periodically to lick the air, completely still in the focused, unwavering way that animals get when they've locked onto something their owner can't see or hear. It doesn't bark, doesn't move, doesn't look away. And the woman filming believes she knows exactly who her dog is looking at. In paranormal research, and honestly across most cultures that have ever documented grief and loss, the period immediately following a death is considered the window where contact is most likely. A soul still tethered enough to the people and places it loved to find its way back one last time before whatever comes next. Dogs occupy a unique position in that conversation because their sensory range operates so far outside human perception that what registers to them as a clear, locatable presence can be completely invisible and inaudible to the person lying right next to them. This dog isn't reacting to a sound from outside, isn't startled by movement. It's fixed on a specific point in that room with the calm, certain attention of an animal that has found something rather than one that's searching for it. A week after losing her mom, in a bedroom that probably still carries the particular weight that spaces hold after someone close is gone, her dog found something in the corner worth watching. So what do you think? Was her mum stopping by one last time, or is there another explanation for what that dog spent the night looking at? The following videos were all recorded inside the same 1920s house, a place that, based on everything caught on camera here, seems to have a serious problem with staying quiet. The decor alone sets the tone before anything even happens. Taxidermy foxes on windowsills, crucifixes on the walls, candlelit dining rooms, antique clocks ticking in dim hallways. It's the kind of home that already feels like it belongs to something other than the people living in it. And according to whoever is filming, it isn't just atmosphere. The activity started small, the kind of thing you might explain away on any given day. But over the course of these clips, it stopped being small very quickly. Watch.
Here we go. More knocking noises. What is going on? Hello? Hello? Who is here? Make yourself known. Go on. Where are you? There's knocking from the living room. It's from the living room, that. Hello? Come on. You've done a few things today, haven't you? Whoa, okay, TV's on. Thank you, did you do that? Okay, calm down. Right, it's the atmosphere in here is insane. What the hell? Oh my god, the atmosphere is crazy. It's cold, it feels weird. Oh my god, I don't like it. Hey buddy, you okay? What? Oh my god, the chairs. Oh, are you seeing this? There is, I am telling you now, there is nobody in this house except me. My partner's gone to his mum's, the chairs are on the table. He's gone his mum's. I'm just about to head out myself. I'm gonna have to pick this up. Oh, shit. Oh my god, I'm just about to head out. Thank God. What?
In the middle of what looks like a routine walkthrough of the house during the day, the television in the living room switches on completely by itself, displaying its boot-up screen with no one anywhere near it. Moments later, the chandelier overhead flickers on, cuts out, then flickers again erratically. And when the camera makes it to the dining room, the reason for the walkthrough becomes obvious. One of the heavy, dark wood dining chairs is balanced on top of another, stacked seat to seat in a way that shouldn't be physically possible, while a third chair lies overturned on the floor entirely. These aren't lightweight objects. The filmer reaches in and touches both chairs, demonstrating they're solid and real. That alone is unsettling. What makes it harder to dismiss is the fact that nobody in the footage seems to know when it happened or what caused it. The term that gets attached to activity like this, objects rearranging, lights behaving on their own, is poltergeist, a word that comes from the German meaning noisy ghost or rumbling spirit, and the label fits in more ways than one here. Poltergeist cases in the historical record tend to involve exactly this kind of physical disruption. Furniture moved, objects thrown or displaced, lights affected, the environment itself behaving as though something is interacting with it. That night, the house apparently wasn't finished. Listen closely.
Right, these two guys are going absolutely crazy. What is it, boys? Oh, sorry. What's wrong? What is it? What is it? Are you okay? I don't know what it is. What's wrong, Will? God, it's cold in here. What is it, boys? What's wrong? Oh my God. The cat cannot knock that over. Is somebody in here with me? Hello? Hello? What the heck, Pumpkin? What's wrong? Oh my god, it's so cold. Hey, Will. What's doing that? Whoa, are you seeing this? Boys, what is going on? These two are acting really weird as well. Why are you here? If it's you doing this, you need to prove it. Okay. That's just swung again. Are you seeing this? What? What the hell? Oh my god. Come on, let's go. This house is insane. I cannot believe it. And for anybody who's even remotely skeptical at some of the things going on in here, I cannot make cats be actors. So you might have heard me say on videos a few times now, they all start acting strange before anything happens. And, well, you've seen that. They were mithering me and leading me into the dining room. Oh, another one's joined us. Can you sense something's going on, love? I know. Okay, whatever that means. I'll get to the bottom of it, my love. Jesus. All clear in here.
A single bulb on the chandelier in the darkened dining room begins to flash and flicker wildly, strobing in the darkness with no one visible near any light switch. The man in the green robe appears in a mirror reflection shortly after, clearly reacting to what's been happening around him. His gestures expressive even if his exact words are difficult to make out. The kind of reaction that comes from someone who's been watching their own home behave strangely for too long. One of the orange cats sits on the stairs and meows into the quiet, which, given what follows in the next clip, starts to feel less like coincidence. Daytime didn't bring any calm. Watch.
I'm just about to have my morning brew and these two are trying to get my attention again. What is it? Do you want, mate? Are you playing up again? At something past 7? What the hell? I've literally got my suit ready to go. That's how early it is in the morning. What is it, boys? They always start acting up the clown when there's something about to go on. And they've been hitting at my legs to try and get me to... What the hell? Are you hearing this? Just banging? I would appreciate it if whatever is going on in here, you stop trying to destroy my things. What do you want? You can see something. I know you can. You can, can't you? That's moving. Well, I think it got banged. What do you want? Give it a break. Boys, stop fighting. See, they don't do this. Something's upset them. What is it, boys? Come on. here we go with the coldness. The corridor's freezing. Most importantly, I have to get ready and go out for the day. What do you want, as this Edith? The lady who's came through before? Hello? Where are you? Hello? What do you want? Are you in here? Show yourself. There's nobody here, see? What on earth?
After a slow tour through the same house in natural daylight, the camera documents something that raises the stakes considerably. The front door, which had reportedly been left locked, is now standing wide open, revealing the driveway and the cars outside. Nobody opened it. Nobody was near it. The 3-minute and 25-second gap between the last shot of the hallway and the discovery of the open door is marked by a time skip, leaving exactly what happened in between entirely unexplained. Skeptics would point out that an open door is one of the easiest things to stage, and that's a fair argument. But taken alongside everything else documented in this house, the stacked furniture, the flickering lights, the television turning itself on, the open door starts to feel less like a coincidence and more like a pattern. Something in this house appears to be interacting with its physical environment in a very deliberate way. And then the cats started acting up again.
Right guys, we've got the phone out. These have been meowing like crazy by the bedroom door, like crashing into it as if trying to get my attention. What is it? What you want? Something going on? Hey? Hey? Come on. What's going on? What is it, guys? Whoa, it's cold in here. Hey, what is it, buddy? Oh, what the hell? Oh my god. Yep, good idea. What the hell was that? Hello? Is anything in here? Hello? Show yourself. What? Are you doing this? Oh my god! There's like a wind. Oh my god, what is that? What is that? The room is so frigging cold as well. Come here, guys. Come here, guys. What? Look, it's swinging. I have not been near it. There's nobody else here. I'll show you as best I can. What? None of this makes any sense. How can this stuff be happening? What? What fell? What is that? What?
During a daytime walkthrough, the two orange cats are heard and seen in obvious distress, meowing loudly and insistently, leading their owner through the hallway as though trying to get him to follow. He remarks that the living room is cold. Then a loud bang sends the camera whipping toward the fireplace, where a picture frame has just fallen from the mantel with no visible cause. The curtains by a closed window begin to billow and move violently, as though caught in a strong, localized wind with no source. A door somewhere off camera slams shut. The chandelier in the center of the room is swinging back and forth with enough force that he reaches up to steady it with his hand, stating clearly that nobody else is home. A small potted plant then falls from a high surface, landing hard on the floor. You can hear it in his voice, the way it shifts from cautious curiosity to something closer to real fear. He keeps asking the room what's happening, and the room keeps answering him. What none of these clips manage to explain is why the activity seems to escalate each time someone picks up a camera. The same house, the same rooms, the same objects, and each walkthrough uncovering something worse than the last. If this is a poltergeist in the traditional sense, some accounts suggest that kind of presence doesn't fade on its own. It tends to grow. So the question worth sitting with is this: what does it look like when it stops holding back? And would you still be in that house to find out? Like and subscribe if you're enjoying watching this video. Some viewers have pointed out that the cats seem to sense things before the camera ever catches them, reacting to rooms, leading their owner toward whatever is about to happen next. If they're right, those cats know something about that house that nobody else in it is willing to say out loud. In the following clip you're about to watch, a Blink security camera mounted high on a wall captures something strange in the hallway of a home late at night. A teenager noticed his cat acting strange. Not the usual zoomies or chasing something across the floor, but deliberately trying to get his attention, persistent enough that he eventually did what you're apparently supposed to do when a cat leads you somewhere. He followed it. The cat takes him straight to his brother and sister's room, and he goes in. And then, after a few moments inside, he comes back out with an urgency that tells you everything you need to know about what he found in there. Not a slow walk, not a casual exit, but the kind of sprint that your body produces when your brain has already decided that whatever is behind you is not something you want to be near. Now, the camera doesn't show us what he saw inside that room, and honestly, that might be worse, because what he said he saw was a 7-foot-tall black figure standing in there, in his sibling's room, in a house where a cat apparently knew it was there before any person did. In paranormal research, animals consistently demonstrate awareness of presences that humans can't perceive, registering something in the electromagnetic or sensory range that we lost access to somewhere along the way. And a cat that leads someone directly to the room where an entity is standing isn't acting randomly, it's communicating. So what do you think? Was there something 7 feet tall waiting in that room? Or did the cat lead him somewhere? His imagination did the rest of the work. In this next clip, a night security guard is doing his rounds at work. Glass door in front of him. The kind of quiet, uneventful shift that makes up most of the job. He's been working this post long enough that he knows every sound and every shadow in that building, which is exactly why he started filming when he noticed something he couldn't explain. He flips the camera to the front-facing view, points it toward the glass door, and what he catches on the other side of that glass stops him cold. Watch.
Es solo un video. El video. ¿Alguien vio los dedos?
Right there at the handle of the door, fingers, visible through the glass, pressed against it from the outside, and then slowly, deliberately withdrawn, pulled back into the darkness, the way you'd pull your hand away if you suddenly realized you'd been seen. Not a smear, not a reflection, not light playing off the surface, fingers, with the kind of slow, intentional movement that puts them in a completely different category from anything environmental. And this isn't the first time he's noticed something at that door. He makes that clear. This is just the first time he had a camera running when it happened. In paranormal research, liminal spaces like building entrances, lobbies, and glass thresholds are considered hotspots for activity precisely because they exist between two states, inside and outside, safe and exposed, known and unknown. And whatever presses itself against that boundary isn't lost or wandering, it's probing. So what do you think? Is something testing that door from the other side? Or does this guard have a very human problem he hasn't fully accounted for yet? In this next clip, a woman is home alone in her apartment during the day when her doorbell rings. Not once, but repeatedly, with no one on the other side. She's filming on her phone, walking slowly toward her front door, and you can already hear in the way she moves that this isn't her first time dealing with something like this. Her voice, cautious at first, calls out in French, asking if anyone's there. The hallway outside is completely empty. She checks the staircase. Nothing. Watch.
Y a quelqu'un? Putain, ça va pas commencer comme ça tout le temps, j'en ai plein le cul.
The doorbell rings 3 times across less than a minute, and each time she opens that door, there's no one there. Not in the hallway, not on the stairs, not anywhere she can see. By the second ring, she sounds exhausted, muttering in French that she's sick of this, that she can't keep going through it. That detail is telling. This isn't shock. It's someone who's been worn down by repetition. Then the third ring hits, and the camera jerks violently as she lets out a sharp, terrified scream. There's something about the third ring that breaks her completely, maybe because she'd already confirmed the space was empty, and it rang anyway. Some believe this kind of recurring, disembodied doorbell activity is consistent with what paranormal researchers call a poltergeist, an entity associated less with haunting a location and more with directing its energy toward a specific person, often escalating over time. Skeptics would say a faulty wireless doorbell could explain it. But a faulty doorbell doesn't explain why she sounds like someone who's been fighting this battle alone for a very long time. So what do you think she's actually dealing with? The following videos appear to be captured by a group of men conducting what looks like a paranormal investigation inside a cluttered, dimly lit room, the kind of space that already feels charged before anything unusual happens, with old stained walls, worn furniture, and objects arranged almost as if they've been placed there intentionally. The men are speaking Romanian throughout, and at one point, one of them can be heard reciting what sounds like a religious confession, solemn, almost liturgical, which sets a tone that's hard to shake. Watch.
Mărturisesc că sunt vinovat focului de veci, viermilor neadormiți. Vai de mine! Vai de mine, ce-a fost asta? Doi, să învârtesc ca un... Vai de mine, ai văzut? Doi, să învârtesc. Mamă, frate, ce-a fost asta? Uite așa să învârtesc ca un... Vai de mine, dacă l-am... Vai, Leo, ce-a fost asta? Mamă, frate, am prins-o pe cameră, jur. Băi, hai-te mai că... Viermilor neadormiți. Vai de mine! Vai de mine, ce-a fost asta?
A wooden chair in the adjacent room violently tips over backwards with a loud crash, with no visible person anywhere near it, and the men immediately erupt into panicked shouting, one of them yelling that the chair spun on its own, another asking what on earth just happened. The slow motion replay makes it even harder to dismiss, because you can see the full arc of the movement with nothing and no one initiating it. Some viewers think the prayer being recited at the exact moment of impact is the most unsettling detail, not because it's evidence of anything specific, but because it raises the question of whether something was already being invited in before the camera was even rolling. In Romanian folk tradition, reciting confessions aloud in a spiritually charged space is sometimes believed to provoke a response from entities that feed on guilt or unresolved spiritual debt. And if that chair moving was the beginning, what came next suggests it was far from over. Not long after, the activity shifted from a single object to something far more chaotic.
Gata, gata, adă farfurile repede. Adă repede farfurile. Adă repede, fac, gata, opriți tot. Uite, două căni dat. Gata, opriți-vă. Opriți înregistrarea. Cu plăcere, da. Băi!
2 white ceramic mugs are violently thrown from a cabinet on the far side of the room, one shattering completely on the floor, sending shards and reddish liquid across a striped rug. And then just as the men start to collect themselves, a second loud bang sends another object flying, one of them saying it struck his leg. The men's dialogue is raw and unfiltered, someone telling them to stop recording, another voice responding, possibly from a device in the room, with pleasure. That detail alone stopped a lot of viewers cold. Whether it came from a spirit box or an electronic device picking up a stray signal, nobody has been able to confirm it. But the pattern is hard to ignore. First a chair, now mugs, thrown with enough force to shatter and injure, which is exactly the kind of escalation poltergeist activity tends to follow, starting with isolated movements and progressing steadily toward objects making contact with people. The men's reactions, the way they scramble, the way one of them just says, "Enough, stop everything," don't read as performance. They investigated anyway. Watch closely.
Îndrăznind aler la milostivirea ta cu frică și cu cutremur. Cu cutremur, mă. Ia! Cât am greșit ție. Băi, fii atent. Tu ai de capul meu. Ia, că-o căzut tot. Ia, că-o căzut tot bastoanele, o căzut tot, băi, omule, băi. Ia bastonul. Ia bastonul din smântână, de unde? Că nu mai este niciun baston nimic. Gata e. E gata e. Ia vezi că și pune poate. Vezi? Aici. Nu ai mă, să dea draci dacă e ceva, tu ești nebun. Azi voi colo pe bastonul iar. Lasă-o în fiz de lui. Nu ai frate niciun baston nimic. Iar este, bag lumina pe partea asta. Na. Bagă și după aia, bagă și după asta. Na, că nu-i nimic. Nimic, a? Nimica, frate, dispără bastonul, iar gata. Și de sub de acolo? Nimic. Nici de acolo, nimic. Uite păpușa asta deșurată. Și eu preotul. Bă, uitați-o cu dulapul cum se mișcă singur, mă, frate, tu ești nebun. Unde-s, măi? Nu-i niciun baston. Uite. Uite țăpă ăsta, uite. Niciun baston, nimic. Uite. Uite, cade bila jos, acum. Uite dulap, care se mișcă singur, uite, nu-i legat cu nimic, uite. Uite. Voi sunteți nebuni, băi, noi când v-am zis că, băi, nu mai există, gata, încăpere. Nu mai există încăpere, ca să știți. Noi suntem numărul 1, suntem. Hai de mine, ce-a fost asta? Ce-a fost asta?
E jale, mâncați așa.
Stay calm. Stay calm. Stay calm.
Calm down.
Odată cu ce-odată.
Hai, au reușit să stați calmi. Gata, terminat-o, hai.
Stay calm.
Adu bastonul pe înapoi. Trebuie să fac carte aici, sunt. Portal îmi trebuie. Portalul îmi trebuie.
E sub dulap bastonul.
Objects on a small wooden cabinet begin vibrating and sliding on their own before 2 walking canes propped against the wall are forcefully thrown to the floor. Then the entire cabinet jolts and shakes as if grabbed from beneath, and a sharp, unexplained bang erupts from somewhere off camera, sending the men stumbling backward. One of them mentions closing a portal, which suggests they weren't just observing, but had been actively attempting some form of spiritual communication beforehand. And if something had been deliberately summoned, the escalating violence of these responses starts to feel less like random activity and more like something reacting with increasing irritation. The missing cane is arguably the strangest detail. Investigators can only account for one of the 2 that fell, and despite searching the area thoroughly, the second one never turns up on camera. A quiet footnote that somehow lands harder than the chaos around it. So what do you think? Was this group of men simply documenting a haunted space, or did they walk into that room and wake something up that had no interest in being observed? In this next clip, a woman is home alone at night, or at least she believes she is, when she notices something standing behind the frosted glass panel of her bathroom door. She's filming on her phone, her voice dropping to a hushed, anxious whisper as she explains in Spanish that she can see the shape from where she's standing, but the phone's reflection keeps getting in the way. She says she literally can't go to the bathroom in peace because of whoever or whatever is there. Then she moves through the house, down a dark hallway with light cutting in from a room at the far end, before showing her bedroom to prove a point. Watch.
De acá lo veo, pero el celular le da el reflejo. Literalmente no puedo ir al baño tranquila porque está él. Y no hay nadie en la casa. Nadie de nadie está en la casa.
Through the textured glass of that door, you can make out a dark, humanoid silhouette, a head and shoulders, motionless, standing just on the other side. She walks the camera through the rest of the house, showing an empty bedroom, an unmade bed, no one anywhere. No one is in the house, she says. No one at all. That tension between what she sees and what should logically be there is hard to shake. Some viewers think it's a shadow cast by an object or a trick of the light bouncing off the frosted glass. Others aren't so sure because the shape is too specific, the rounded head, the width of the shoulders, to easily dismiss. That alone is unsettling. But what makes the second clip arguably worse is how calm everything is before it happens. Her and her husband are in bed watching television, relaxed, covered in blankets when this happens.
En el mejor de los casos, la hemorragia se absorbe. No continuará la hemorragia y hará que el cerebro se inflame. ¿Qué significa eso?
The blanket covering the man's left shoulder is suddenly yanked downward with a sharp, forceful tug. Fast, violent, and completely without explanation. And a distinct swooshing sound goes with it. He flinches immediately, looking down toward his right. She turns her head in the same direction. There's no one else in the frame. Some believe what was caught is classic poltergeist behavior, physical interference with objects in an otherwise calm domestic space, the kind of activity that tends to escalate when ignored. Skeptics will point to the static camera and suggest it was staged, but the couple's reaction is immediate and looks genuinely startled. Whether these two clips are connected or not, they both carry the same unsettling thread, the idea that something might be sharing a space that's supposed to be private. And like and subscribe if you're enjoying watching this video. What would you do if you started seeing shapes behind closed doors in your own home? In the following clip you're about to watch, a man had been watching something crouch at the far end of his porch on his doorbell camera every single night for a week straight. Same spot, same low position, same time. And on this particular night, he decided he was done watching it on a screen. He stepped outside, phone in hand, and started shouting into the dark that he'd already called the cops and had everything on film. The kind of confrontation that's supposed to end with a person running or an animal scattering. The porch is empty. The yard is completely quiet. Nothing moves. Watch.
I've seen this person outside my house every night this week on the doorbell camera. Whoever's out here, I called the cops, and I have you on film. Oh my god! Oh my god!
As he turns back toward the house, something is looking out at him through the slats of the blinds. A woman with long dark hair, a yellow top, and eyes that are completely white. No iris, no pupil, just blank. With her mouth slightly open, in something that sits just wrong enough to not be called a smile. Then the blind snaps shut. And if you go back and watch the first pass along that window, there's nothing visible through the slats at all, which means whatever was standing inside that room either wasn't there yet or didn't want to be seen until he turned around. In paranormal research, entities that position themselves at windows and doorways are considered threshold presences, beings that operate specifically at the boundary between inside and outside, observed and unobserved. And the white eyes reported across multiple cultural traditions are consistently associated with something that isn't fully human in its current form. A vessel, an apparition, or something wearing a shape it borrowed rather than grew into. The detail that lingers most is the week of crouching at the end of the porch, because whatever was out there every night wasn't lost or wandering, it was watching, and it had been doing it long enough to learn his schedule. So what do you think? Was something waiting outside that house all week for him to finally come out, or had it already been inside the entire time? The following video was recorded by a man at 2 in the morning inside his apartment, a place he claims has been active since long before this night, something he describes as a presence that has followed him across multiple videos and refuses to leave him alone. By the time he picks up his phone to start filming, the sounds have already begun coming from the dark living room, a rhythmic, repetitive creaking, the kind that stops you mid-breath because you know there's nothing in there that should be moving.
Son las 2 de la mañana, se están escuchando ruidos en la sala. Están moviendo la silla, raza. La madre. Escucho algo acá, raza. Un balón de desodorante. ¿Qué estará pasando, anda? Madre.
Some viewers think the sheer volume and variety of sounds in such a short window points towards something staged, and that's a fair argument to make. But others point out that poltergeist-type activity, a term rooted in German folklore meaning noisy ghost, traditionally associated with volatile, object-moving disturbances rather than quiet apparitions, often presents in exactly this pattern, escalating, chaotic, spread across multiple locations in the same space, and almost impossible to predict or document clearly. It didn't stop there. An hour later, he's back in the same bedroom, woken from sleep this time, and whatever he'd been dealing with at 2 a.m. had apparently not finished. Listen closely.
Raza, son las 3 de la mañana, se siguen escuchando muchos ruidos allá afuera. Quieren abrir la puerta, raza. ¿Qué está pasando? Ay, Dios mío.
A violent crash erupts from the dark room adjacent to the bedroom, something heavy hitting the floor with enough force to send him scrambling for the door, gasping, fumbling with the handle, unable even to look back at what caused it. The sounds in the first clip were loud and frightening, but this one lands differently because he was asleep when it started, which means whatever is happening in that apartment isn't waiting for him to be watching anymore. Some who've followed cases like this believe that shift from activity that occurs while the witness is awake and filming to activity that interrupts sleep signals a deeper level of presence, something less like background noise and more like deliberate intrusion. Skeptics will argue it's a neighbor, a settling building, anything that doesn't require a paranormal explanation. But if you've watched both clips back to back, you already know what question is sitting at the back of your mind. And if you're enjoying watching this video, like and subscribe. At 3 in the morning, alone in that apartment, what would you actually do? In this next clip, a woman is parked outside at night, filming from inside her car, and she's clearly shaken. She describes watching something move across her rearview mirror while she was sitting in the vehicle, something that tracked from the back of the car toward the front, visible both through the mirror and from outside the window. According to her, every time she looked away, she'd lose it. But when she looked back, it was closer. Look closely at her side mirror. You'll see what looks like 3 shadow beings.
I understand this is probably gonna sound insane or look like a blur to you, but I was crying. I watched this thing move across in my rearview mirror when I was driving back of my car to the front. I could see it from outside and in the mirror. It got out of my car, like staring at me, but if I looked away, I couldn't find it until it was closer. I have never felt fear like this. The hair on my arms was standing up. I was crying on the phone with my mom, waiting for my stepdad to come over because I couldn't believe this is what I really saw.
Her voice barely holds together as she recounts it. She says she's never felt fear like that in her life, that the hair on her arms was standing up, that she ended up on the phone with her mother, waiting for her stepfather to come over because she couldn't process what she'd just seen. That ambiguity is exactly what makes this so difficult to dismiss. Some viewers think the distress in her voice alone tells you everything. That kind of fear is hard to fake. Others believe she may have encountered what's sometimes described as a shadow entity, something that exists at the edge of perception and retreats the moment you focus on it directly. You decide. In this next clip, a man has been dealing with a relentless and escalating pattern inside his apartment, specifically centered around the doors, and not as a one-off event that could be brushed off and forgotten, but a sustained, ongoing situation that has pushed him to the point of grabbing his phone every time it starts. The first piece of footage is barely 8 seconds, but it's the sound that stops you cold. Watch. A rapid rhythmic clicking and tapping emanates from the door itself, persistent, almost mechanical, like something working at the latch from the other side, and it stops the exact instant his hand makes contact with the handle, not before, not a moment after, which is the detail that moves it out of the category of a loose mechanism and into something that feels more like a response. Like whatever was doing, it knew he was there. It didn't stay contained to the door. Shortly after, he finds his 2 dining chairs pulled out from the table and positioned at odd angles in the middle of the room, and his immediate reaction makes clear he didn't leave them that way. His cat Rory is visible nearby, and skeptics pointed to that immediately, but 2 heavy dining chairs displaced simultaneously at those angles from a single small cat is a stretch that most viewers weren't willing to make.
What the fuck?
The third clip is the longest and most detailed piece of footage he's captured, and it's where the pattern becomes impossible to dismiss. For over a minute, the door handle jiggles up and down on its own, rhythmically, audibly, relentlessly, while persistent knocking runs underneath it the entire time. He grabs the handle and the sounds stop. He lets go and they start again. He opens the door to an empty hallway, closes it, and within seconds, it starts back up, more frantic than before. And then a crash from the living room. And when he turns around, the cat tunnel that had been lying on the floor is sitting on top of the couch. "I know Rory didn't do that," he says, and you can hear the fear settling in behind the disbelief.
See, it's still happening. Honestly, this is all the time. Whoa, Jesus. The cat scared the shit out of me. What the fuck? Rory, you were really scaring the shit out of me. I know Rory didn't do that. What the fuck fuck is going on? What the fuck happened, Rory?
In paranormal research, this specific progression, isolated sounds, giving way to object displacement, activity concentrated around thresholds and enclosed spaces, escalating in intensity over time, is one of the most consistently documented patterns in poltergeist cases. An entity that builds and releases energy through physical disturbance rather than visual appearance, testing boundaries repeatedly until it finds one that gives. And then, on another night, locked inside the bathroom, the door rattles violently in its frame for over 30 seconds straight. And when he finally gets it open and stands in the doorway, a clear and distinct sound of rapid footsteps runs away from him down the hallway, light and quick, moving with direction, there and then gone.
Right, so I'm just in the toilet, and as you can hear, the door's rattling. So I feel quite trapped. But I'm going to open it and see what happens. It would help if I actually unlocked the door, wouldn't it? Was that you? That couldn't have been you. Oh, fuck off.
That last detail is what changes everything, because a rattling door can be argued away, but footsteps running down an empty corridor have a specificity that's very hard to square with any environmental explanation. Whatever is in that apartment isn't just making noise anymore, it's moving through the space. It knows the layout, and it's been there long enough to stop being startled by him. So what do you think? Is this an intelligent presence, methodically testing every threshold in that apartment, or something residual and restless locked into the architecture of that specific space, unable to stop doing what it's always done?